Where do we practice cultivation? In the mind or with the mouth? This seemingly simple question, however, opens a door for each person to reflect on themselves. This is because there are times when we think that just keeping a kind heart is enough. But we forget that words are the bridge between the mind and the world. Even if the heart is kind, but the mouth utters harsh words, merit still diminishes, and karma is still created. Conversely, a person who knows how to guard their words and speak kindly will naturally find peace in their heart, and their life will naturally feel lighter. In life, everyone has been hurt by a word, and everyone has hurt others simply by uttering a few sentences in anger. Sometimes, just one thoughtless remark has shattered a relationship, turning years of affection into distant strangeness. And sometimes, just a timely word of comfort has helped a despairing person get back on their feet, helping a suffering person find faith again. Thus, we realize that words are not just sounds, but energy. Kind words create blessings. Harsh words create karma. A true practitioner is someone who understands that cultivation is not far away, but right in their own words. In the sutras, the Buddha taught that the mouth is the door to karma, and words are the root of blessings and misfortune. Someone asked, "Why do mere words create karma?" The Buddha smiled and said, "Because words can kill a soul or save a life." Indeed, words are a reflection of the mind. When the mind is disturbed, the mouth will utter chaotic words. When the mind is at peace, words naturally become as light as a floating cloud. The more one cultivates, the fewer words one speaks. Not because they don't want to speak, but because they deeply understand that every word uttered carries karmic energy and can either resolve or cause more suffering for themselves and others. A Zen master once told a story. One day, someone came to ask him how to keep a peaceful mind during anger. The Zen master didn't answer. He simply scooped clear water, placed it before the person, and stirred it vigorously. The water immediately turned murky. The Zen master said, "This is your mind when you are angry." After a moment, he left it undisturbed, and the water settled and became clear again. He said, "When your mouth is silent, your mind will also settle like this water. To maintain a calm mind, you must first learn to keep your mouth silent." That simple statement contains a profound spiritual philosophy. Amidst the upheavals of life, we cannot control everything that happens externally, but we can control how we react. Often, just a little silence, a little stepping back, can change everything. A wise person is not someone who talks a lot, but someone who knows when to speak and when to stop. Because sometimes words uttered are no longer sharing, but a knife that wounds both. Cultivating speech is a measure of cultivating the mind. When we know how to speak kind words, our minds naturally become gentle. When we speak words of empathy, compassion within us grows. When we speak words of gratitude, blessings begin to blossom. And when we know how to remain silent before useless things, wisdom within us is nurtured. A person who knows how to cultivate their speech will no longer let words become arrows that hurt others, but will turn every word into a seed of goodness sown into life. Try to observe yourself every day. When about to say something, pause a beat, take a deep breath, and ask, does this need to be said? Will it hurt anyone? Will it help anyone find peace? Just one breath like that can prevent countless negative karmas from forming. That, too, is a way of cultivating. Cultivating right in each breath, each word, each small moment of daily life. Therefore, do not seek the Dharma in distant places. Do not think that cultivating means going up a mountain or chanting sutras all day. Cultivation is not found anywhere else, but right in one's own words. When we speak kind words, we are sowing blessings. When we remain silent before evil, we are practicing patience. When we use words to soothe, to encourage, to love, we are practicing the Bodhisattva path in everyday life. Tonight, as you sit quietly in the silent space, with only your gentle breath moving in and out, ask your heart, how many words have I spoken that brought joy to others? And how many words have hurt someone? Then gently close your lips and smile in mindfulness. Because from that moment, your path of cultivation has begun, not far away, but right in your mouth, in your breath, in every loving word. Have you ever been so angry with someone that you said things you later regretted? Sometimes, in just a moment of temper, we utter harsh words, thinking it will relieve the anger in our hearts. But then we are haunted by regret, because words spoken cannot be taken back. And sometimes, just one wrong word can break a relationship, cause someone pain, or make a blessing fly away. The Buddha taught that the mouth is the door to karma, and words are the root of blessings and misfortune. That statement contains a profound truth about karma, cause and effect, that each of us needs to contemplate throughout our lives. Humans create karma not only through actions, but also through words and thoughts. Among these, karma of speech, kaon gyep, karma caused by words, is the easiest to commit, and also the hardest to mend. Because the mouth always precedes the mind, words are easily uttered. Before we can even think, a person who has not learned to guard their mouth, even if their heart is kind, will find it difficult to maintain lasting peace. Words, if gentle, are like a fragrant flower that makes listeners feel light and joyful. But harsh words are like a sharp knife piercing others' hearts and also hurting oneself. Some people, in anger, pour out heavy words that hurt others. Afterward, when their anger subsides, they apologize, but the wound is already etched in the listener's heart. Words can be medicine, or they can be poison. Therefore, the Buddha always reminded us, keep the mind pure, keep the mouth gentle, and merit will naturally arise. To control the mouth is to control the mind. Every word we speak carries energy, good or bad, sowing a seed into life, and later we will reap the fruit of what we have sown. There's a short story that makes us ponder for a long time. Min and Ton were close friends since childhood, growing up together, going to college together, and then working in the same company. Their friendship lasted over 10 years, seeming like nothing could change it. But then, during a meeting, due to a small misunderstanding at work, Min angrily uttered harsh words. He called Tuan selfish, narrow-minded, and in his rage, he didn't notice his best friend's eyes were moist. The entire meeting room fell silent. After that meeting, Tuan resigned without a word of farewell. Many years later, when he was calmer, Min realized his mistake. He tried to contact Tuan, sent apologies, but Tuan had moved far away and no longer wanted to meet. The relationship that was once his greatest emotional support was now just a memory. One afternoon, he sat in a cafe looking out at the rain, his heart heavy. He thought to himself, if only I had been silent for a bit that day, listened a bit, everything would have been different. Just a few words spoken in anger, and he lost a soulmate. Those words were light as a breeze, but their consequences were as heavy as a boulder, crushing his heart. Words are like arrows. Once released, they cannot be taken back. Even if we apologize, no matter how much remorse we feel, what was uttered still exists in the listener's memory. And sometimes we ourselves are haunted by what we have said. In Buddhist teachings, karma of speech is one of the 3 karmas bound to humans throughout life: body, speech, and mind. Karma of speech is easy to commit, because every day we speak countless words from morning to night. Often, we don't harm anyone with actions, but we unintentionally make others suffer with words. A harsh word can be like a small pebble thrown into a lake, but the ripples spread far, muddying even clear water. A true practitioner is one who learns to observe their own words. Before speaking, they pause a breath, asking themselves if this word is necessary. Is it beneficial? Will it make others happy or sad? If it's not necessary, not beneficial, not kind, they choose silence. That silence is not avoidance, but maintaining a pure mind and preserving blessings for themselves and others. The responsive. Buddhist Dharma. Channel once met a man named Mr. Ba in a small village by the river. He was a quick-witted and talkative person, always having something to say. Wherever he went, he could sit and chat for hours, discussing everything from his own affairs to other people's, from yesterday's events to things that hadn't even happened yet. Everyone said he was good-humored, but gradually people started to avoid him, because some things he said unintentionally caused hurt, stirred up misunderstandings, and created distance between people. One day, there was a dispute between Mr. and Mrs. Tu in the village. People rumored that Mr. Tu was hiding something from his wife. Mr. Ba heard bits and pieces and then retold it, adding some embellishments to make it a better story. He said, "I heard Mr. Tu is hiding his private money. If he's not careful, something bad will happen." Those words were like a small spark fanning the flames of gossip. Just one sentence, but it spread quickly throughout the village, eventually reaching Mrs. Tu, who angrily questioned and doubted her husband. Then the two argued, almost leading to a divorce. When he learned what happened, Mr. Ba regretted it and went to apologize. Mr. Tu just remained silent. Mr. Ba understood that some wounds from words are not easily healed, and an apology is not enough to compensate. From that day on, he spoke much less. He still went to the fields, still met people, but instead of telling stories, he quietly helped others and listened more. When asked, he just smiled. Now, I prefer listening to talking. Talking a lot makes it easy to make mistakes, but listening teaches you a lot. It's a small story, but it contains a great lesson. In this life, often we don't commit big sins, only small mistakes with words, but the consequences are heavy. Some people lose a soulmate for saying one wrong word. Some accidentally hurt loved ones with words, causing their hearts to drift apart. Some bring misfortune upon themselves because of their mouths. That is the karma of speech, sowing harsh words, reaping suffering. The Buddha taught that speaking is also a part of cultivation. A practitioner not only cultivates good bodily actions, but also keeps their mouth gentle. Words can be lotus flowers, blossoming in life, but they can also be sharp thorns, piercing others' hearts. If we are not mindful, the mouth easily becomes an open door to karma. In the Dhammapada, there is a verse, "The fool thinks himself wise by speaking many words. The wise person knows themselves to be wise by speaking rightful words." The wise speak little, but their words are like refreshing water that soothes people's hearts. The foolish speak much, but their words are like strong winds that blow away all blessings. Therefore, speaking little is not out of fear, but out of understanding. Understanding that every word spoken carries energy. That energy either creates blessings or creates karma. To guard the mouth is to guard the mind. When we cultivate through speech, we learn to pause before speaking. Pausing a moment to reflect on our minds, to see which words are kind and which are harsh. A person can cultivate their entire life and not achieve anything simply because they cannot guard their mouth. But there are also people who, simply by knowing how to be silent, resolve countless sufferings. A person who knows how to speak is a person who knows how to listen. Whenever we talk too much, it means we are forgetting to listen. And when we don't listen, we lose empathy. Life is a flow of interconnectedness. Everyone carries their own wounds. If we don't listen, but only speak, we will never understand the suffering of others. The wise listen a lot because they understand that silence is the voice of compassion. In meditation, there is a practice called observing speech. Before speaking, we breathe in, aware that we are about to speak. When we breathe out, we smile and choose our words. Words are like breath, flowing out gently, leaving no scratches. A true practitioner will always choose words that carry healing energy. They speak to encourage, to share, to help others find peace of mind. And when there's no need to speak, they choose silence. That silence is not cold, but a broad heart, embracing tolerance. Someone asked, "If I remain silent all the time, won't others think I'm indifferent or weak?" But silence is not avoidance. Silence is knowing clearly what is worth saying and what should be kept to oneself. The wise are not silent out of fear, but silent because they understand that arguments don't change others. They only disturb one's own mind. When the mind is at peace, words naturally become gentle. There are times when just a gentle word is enough to resolve a grudge. But to be able to speak that gentle word, we must have a steady inner self. An impatient person will speak sharp words. A fearful person will speak flatteringly. An envious person will speak disparagingly. Only a person with a peaceful heart and kind intentions can speak compassionate words. Therefore, to speak gently, one must first cultivate a kind heart. You can start with a small practice. Dedicate a few minutes each day to silence. Don't speak, don't listen, just breathe and observe. When we are silent, we hear the voice of our own heart. We hear our anxieties, our anger, and even the words we haven't had a chance to speak. Gradually, we learn not to say things that don't need to be said, and tranquility begins from there. A person who speaks little is not necessarily cold. On the contrary, they can be the most profound. They choose to listen to understand. They choose silence to show love. When encountering gossip, they don't rush to judge. When others make mistakes, they don't rush to criticize. They know that everyone is on their own journey of learning. If we use harsh words to teach others, we only make them suffer more. But if we use silence and compassion to enlighten them, they will come to understand on their own. Looking back at our lives, we will see that those who achieve great things usually have calm minds and speak few words. When the Buddha was alive, he spoke little, but every word he uttered was truth, because he spoke from compassion and wisdom, without ego. Most of us, however, speak from ego to prove ourselves, to argue, to win or lose. And the more we speak from ego, the further we move from truth. The Buddha once taught, "When your mouth closes, your mind will open." When we stop talking, we begin to listen more deeply, see more clearly, and perceive the world more subtly. Peace does not come from eloquent words, but from the moment we know to stop. A wise speaker knows when to speak and when to stop. Speak to share, not to judge. Speak to sow goodness, not to cause suffering. Words are like seeds sown in the ground. They will yield fruit. Sow comfort in people's hearts, and you will reap peace. Sow harsh words, and you will reap loneliness. Every word returns to oneself according to the law of karma. Everyone in life has slipped up with words. But the important thing is to become aware. When we know words cause suffering, we stop. When we know our mouth diminishes our merit, we become silent and repent. Silence doesn't mean weakness. It is the strength of a person who masters themselves. Today, if you feel many words wanting to be spoken in your heart, pause for a moment. Take a deep breath and ask, Will this word hurt anyone? If so, remain silent. If that word can make someone smile, speak it with compassion. The lesson from neighbor Mr. Ba may be small, but it serves as a mirror for each of us. Because in each person, there is a part of Mr. Ba, the part that likes to talk, to discuss, to prove oneself. Cultivation is not about cutting off that part, but about transforming it. Transforming words from ignorance into compassion, from judgment into sharing. When we understand the value of silence, we will see that it doesn't make us lose anything. On the contrary, our hearts become lighter, our minds clearer. Speaking less and listening more, we will feel the tranquility we have long sought. Remember, a wise person is not someone who talks a lot, but someone who knows when to speak appropriately. A peaceful person is not someone who knows how to win an argument, but someone who knows how to smile amidst conflict. When we speak less, we will see simple things like the sound of a temple bell, the gentle breeze, the smile of a loved one, all become more profound. If possible, tonight sit still, close your eyes, breathe gently, and listen to your heart. Perhaps there are many things you still want to say, many things you haven't let go of. Breathe out and let it all pass, keeping your mind calm, your mouth gentle, your heart kind. Then you will see that talking a lot is not necessarily wise, but silence at the right time is wisdom. The Buddha taught, "Speak words that are truthful, words that bring harmony, words that bring peace. For all other words, silence is best." Maintaining purity in speech. Karma means maintaining a peaceful mind amidst all changes. Life is short. There's no need to say too much. Just keep a kind heart, gentle words, and a knowing smile. Because ultimately, what creates happiness is not what we say, but the peace in each breath, in the understanding between us and life. When the heart is at peace, words naturally become gentle, and life itself automatically becomes softer. In life, all of us have experienced moments when just a gentle word would have been enough. But we said too much. We should have remained silent, but we wanted to argue. And sometimes we said nothing, letting others misunderstand, which slowly distanced relationships. Sometimes words are like a cool breeze, calming people's hearts. But at other times, words are like sharp knives. Just one sentence can deeply hurt someone. Therefore, the Buddha taught that speaking little is not necessarily wise. Speaking at the right time is wisdom. To keep a gentle mouth is a blessing but knowing when to speak is wisdom. Many people think that just being silent is enough, that it avoids mistakes. But silence is not always right. There are times when a timely word can save a life, while silence can be indifference. And sometimes, just a gentle piece of advice, given at the right place and time, can resolve deep-seated resentment. Therefore, learning to speak less is cultivating the mind, and learning to speak at the right time is cultivating wisdom. In the Dhammapada, there's a touching story about someone who knew how to speak at the right time. In ancient Shravasti, a man who committed a killing offense was caught by the villagers and handed over to the authorities. They were enraged, shouting and demanding a severe punishment. The man was terrified, trembling and crying, begging for mercy. But no one would listen. As the Buddha passed by, he stopped. He looked at the man with compassionate eyes, then spoke only one sentence. An evil mind is like fire. If stopped before it spreads, it will burn no one else. Hearing this, the man knelt and burst into tears. That one sentence was like cold water poured on the fire of anger and fear within him. He stopped, calmly admitted his mistake, and asked for a chance to change. The Buddha didn't say much, didn't scold, didn't give a long sermon. Just one sentence, but it saved a life from self-destruction. That is the power of words, spoken at the right time. The wise don't speak much, but when they do, their words land in the right place, touching the heart, awakening the listener. However, those who speak a lot without understanding the timing, their words only disturb others' minds and also lead themselves into suffering. Speaking at the right time means knowing how to choose the appropriate moment, circumstances, and state of mind. A word, no matter how kind, if spoken at the wrong time, can easily become useless or cause harm. In modern life, we easily get caught up in the habit of instant reactions. When someone acts against our will, we immediately say what we think. When others say something wrong, we immediately want to correct them. When they are angry, we try to explain. But the more we talk, the more confused things become. Because when people's minds are agitated, they cannot listen. It's like a turbulent lake. Even if you drop a precious gem into it, the water won't be clear enough to see it. To make others understand, you must wait until their hearts have settled. Speaking at the right time means knowing how to wait, how to choose the moment when your words can touch another person's heart without hurting them. There is a very real-life story about this. The story of teacher Han and her young student, Long. Long was a 5th grader, thin, quiet, but quite good at school. For a while, Long became withdrawn, didn't want to come to class, and always avoided his friends. Teacher Han, Long's homeroom teacher, noticed the change and gently asked, "Long, what's making you sad?" He remained silent, just looking down. A few days later, she heard friends say that Long was being teased by a group of classmates because his family was poor and his clothes were old, so he was ashamed to go to school anymore. One morning, as Long was sitting alone in a corner of the schoolyard, Teacher Han approached and placed her hand on his shoulder. She didn't ask, didn't scold, just said softly, "Do you know that tall trees stand tall because they endure strong winds? If every tree hid from the wind, no tree would reach high into the sky." Long looked up, tears streaming down his face. Just that one sentence opened his tender soul. From that day on, Long returned to class, tried harder, and studied better. Many years later, when he became a teacher himself, Long still remembered that sentence. He said his teacher didn't say much, but her words were like a guiding light when he thought he had lost all faith. That is the power of words at the right time. One word at the right time can save a soul. A timely word can change an entire life. Meanwhile, a misplaced word can cause someone to suffer for a lifetime. Many of us, when we see others making mistakes, immediately want to point it out, say it right away, or even judge. We think we are helping them, but in reality, we are hurting them. When others are in pain, what they need is not a sermon, but a little listening. When they are angry, what they need is not logic, but our peaceful silence. Knowing when to be silent is compassion. Knowing when to speak is wisdom. Both are flowers of the Dharma. Someone once said that the wisdom of the gentle lies in how they speak kind words at the right time. In the law of karma, speech also creates karma. A kind word sows a seed of blessing. A harsh word sows a seed of suffering. But not only kind or harsh words, even the timing of the words creates karma. A well-placed word carries the energy of salvation. A misplaced word, even with good intentions, can still cause harm. Some people say, "I only speak the truth. Why am I criticized?" But the truth should not always be spoken immediately. Sometimes, spoken at the right time, truth is healing medicine, but spoken at the wrong time, it becomes a knife. Some people are in pain. They are not ready to hear. Some people are angry. They cannot understand. If we speak at such a time, it's like adding fuel to the fire. The wise not only know how to speak correctly, but also know how to speak at the right time and in the right way. The Buddha taught 4 standards for rightful speech: speaking truthfully, speaking harmoniously, speaking kindly, and speaking at the right time. Among these, the right time is the most difficult because it requires mindfulness and wisdom. Knowing how to observe people's hearts and feel the energy of the situation. A word spoken at the right time is a word that comes from a peaceful mind, not a reaction. In life, there are moments when our silence is golden. When others are angry, silence is wisdom. When they are suffering, silence is compassion. When they are confused, a gentle word of comfort, like a spring breeze, can help them find stability. But if we speak words of judgment, no matter how true, they will only make that person close off. A person who knows how to speak at the right time is someone with the ability to listen deeply. They listen not only with their ears, but with their hearts. They feel the hidden sorrows in every sigh, in every moment of silence of others. And when they speak with love. It is this love that makes their words touch the listener's heart. But those who do not know how to listen, no matter how much they speak, their words will pass through others' ears like a fleeting breeze. Because listeners feel the energy in every word. A word spoken from anger, no matter how skillful, still carries the smell of fire. A word spoken from compassion, no matter what it explains, still has the fragrance of a lotus flower. Sometimes, speaking at the right time also means daring to speak when necessary. Some people misunderstand that perpetual silence is good, fearing they might displease others. But if you see wrongdoing and remain silent, if you see someone in pain and offer no comfort, that is an indifference. Wisdom is not only knowing when to be silent, but also knowing when to open your mouth at the right time to save someone. Like the Buddha, he never spoke useless words. But when someone was deluded, he always spoke. He spoke not to prove himself, but to enlighten. Every word the Buddha taught was appropriate for the time and the audience, which is why it could transform beings. In today's busy life, people talk a lot, but understand each other little. Because we speak from a superficial mind, not from a deep one. We speak to respond, not to understand. Therefore, the more we talk, the further apart we become. If we know how to stop, breathe gently, listen, and then choose to speak the one word at the right time, that word will be more valuable than 1,000 others. Every day you can practice this. When someone annoys you, stop, take a deep breath. Don't speak immediately. Look at them with compassion. When your mind has settled, you will see which words are necessary, which are not. That is the moment of wisdom. When you meet someone who is sad, don't rush to advise them. Sit down, and listen. When you feel they are ready, speak softly. As Teacher Han told Long, tall trees stand tall because they endure strong winds. Sometimes, that's all it takes for a soul to be healed. A timely word is a gift of a flower. A misplaced word is a speck of dust obscuring the mirror of the mind. Learning to speak at the right time is learning to cultivate wisdom in everyday life. When spoken at the right time, our words not only help others understand, but also make ourselves feel lighter. Because we don't speak to win, we don't speak to prove, but we speak to connect. The karma of speech is very subtle. A person who often speaks kind words at the right time will receive blessings from the love and trust of others. But a person who speaks at the wrong time or speaks in anger, no matter how eloquent their words, will lose their own credibility. Therefore, in every conversation, remember to speak less, but speak with mindfulness, with compassion, and at the right time. A timely sentence can resolve resentment. A misplaced word can cause endless breakdown. Words are not just sounds, but karma in the making. Speak as if each word is a lotus seed sown into the pond of the mind. If we speak with compassion, the pond will blossom. If we speak with anger, the water will become murky. Today, if you are with someone, observe how you speak. Practice pausing before speaking, listening with your heart before opening your mouth. If you see the person in front of you suffering, let compassion guide your words. Speaking little is good. Silence is good. But when you must speak, speak at the right time, because words spoken at the right time are more precious than any wealth. They are a lamp illuminating the darkness of misunderstanding and resentment. And if you accidentally say something that makes someone sad, don't blame yourself for too long. Learn from the beginning again. Learn to be silent. Learn to speak with compassion. Learn to wait until the other person's heart has opened. Then speak. Every kind word will resolve a part of old karma. The Buddha taught that a person who knows how to speak at the right time has walked halfway to enlightenment. Because speaking at the right time means knowing how to observe one's own mind, understanding others' hearts, and acting with wisdom. Every day, if we are mindful in just one word, we have sown a seed of blessing, and that blessing will blossom into peace in the future. So, keep your mind at peace, your mouth gentle, and speak with love. When you can do that, you will see that the world around you becomes gentler. People become more approachable, and life becomes more harmonious. Words spoken at the right time are not only wisdom, but also the manifestation of a soul trained in compassion. Today, I offer you a small practice. Before going to sleep, recall what you said today that made others happy and what made others sad. Smile, breathe in, breathe out, and vow that tomorrow you will speak less, listen more. And if you must speak, you will speak at the right time, with the right intention, from the heart. Because guarding the mouth is guarding blessings. Speaking at the right time is cultivating wisdom. And knowing when to be silent is cultivating insight. Then your mind will naturally be at peace amidst all upheavals, because you have learned to speak with wisdom and to be silent with compassion. In the morning, in a small temple in a quiet rural area, the sound of the bell echoes through the misty village. That clear, resonating sound seems to awaken not only the space, but also to stir the souls immersed in the worries of life. In that moment, people suddenly see more clearly what the Buddha once taught. Karma of speech is the heaviest karma. Words seem light as a fleeting breeze, but sometimes they are powerful enough to hurt someone for a lifetime, or conversely, they can save a lost soul. Everyone wants to live kindly, to cultivate their mind and character, to find peace. But cultivating the mind alone is not enough. If the mouth still utters harsh words, words lacking mindfulness. Some people go to temples, chant sutras, recite Buddha's name their whole lives, but fail to guard their speech. They say hurtful words without knowing it, say useless things without realizing it. Once those words leave the mouth, they are like an arrow in flight, impossible to retrieve. The Buddha taught that among the three karmas, body, speech, and mind, speech karma is the easiest to commit. Because the mouth is the gateway connecting the mind and the world, it is where every thought, emotion, impatience, or love is uttered. If the mind is still agitated, still full of anger and delusion, then the mouth can hardly be gentle. If the mind is at peace, words will naturally be light as a spring breeze, warm as the morning sun. Therefore, cultivating the mind is not enough. The wise person must also cultivate their speech. Many people ask, isn't cultivating the mind enough? Why cultivate the mouth? But consider this. The mind can be kind, yet the mouth can be harsh. Others won't see the mind. They only hear the words spoken. A thoughtless word can cause misunderstandings, crack relationships, and increase negative karma. So cultivating the mind is the root, and cultivating the mouth is the fruit. If the root is good, but the branches and leaves are not cared for, the tree still cannot flourish. In the sutras, the Buddha once taught, words are like a bee gathering nectar. Do not let your mouth become a stinging bee. That statement sounds simple, but contains a profound art of living. Some people keep their mouths gentle, so they are loved and respected wherever they go. Some people lose all blessings just by an outburst of words. Every morning, if we start with a kind word, like a greeting, a prayer, or a mantra, to keep the mind at peace, then our energy for the entire day will also be lighter. The story of Mrs. Lon, a vegetable vendor at the market, is a very true testament to this. Mrs. Lon was over 60, having spent her whole life selling to raise her children. In the past, she was known in the market as someone who couldn't control her mouth. If anyone did anything wrong, she would complain and speak directly, sometimes harshly. Once, just because of a sharp remark to a customer, she gained a reputation for being difficult, making customers reluctant to approach her. She was sad, but didn't understand why. One day, while tidying her stall, she heard a fruit vendor nearby say, "Those who speak softly are loved. Those who speak harshly are disdained." If Mrs. Lon spoke kindly, everyone would surely love her. Those words made her ponder deeply. Coincidentally, the next day, she went to the temple near her home and heard the abbot give a sermon on karma of speech. The teacher said that karma of speech is not just cursing or speaking evil, but also speaking falsely, lying, speaking excessively, or speaking to boast. Mrs. Lon was startled to hear this. She realized that for years she had been cultivating her mind, reciting Buddha's name, chanting sutras. But her mouth still uttered unpleasant words. The teacher also taught that to keep the mouth pure, one should recite a short mantra every morning. Namo Than Tin Kaun Gyep Botat. Homage to the Bodhisattva of pure speech karma. From that day on, every morning before going to the market, Mrs. Lon would sit before the small Buddha altar in her home, clasp her hands, and recite the mantra for a few minutes. The soft tap of the small wooden fish followed the rhythm of the chanting, harmonizing with the distant temple bell. At first, she chanted only out of habit, but gradually she noticed a difference in her mind. When someone spoke harshly, she didn't react immediately. She remained silent, took a deep breath, remembered the morning mantra, and then smiled. And her heart naturally felt lighter. Customers who came to buy vegetables noticed her gentle way of speaking, and all appreciated her. They said they didn't know why, but Mrs. Lon's words sounded so warm these days. She just smiled gently. From then on, her business prospered, and her home was more peaceful. Mrs. Lon once shared with a friend at the market, "Everyone talks about cultivating the mind, but guarding the mouth is truly difficult. Once you guard your mouth, your mind naturally becomes less agitated. Those words, though simple, contained wisdom. Indeed, cultivating the mind and cultivating the mouth always go hand in hand. The mouth is the door to the mind. When the mind is at peace, words naturally become gentle. When the mouth is kept pure, the mind becomes even easier to purify. In the Anguttara Nikaya, the Buddha taught that a person who guards their words, who does not speak harsh words, does not lie, does not fabricate stories, and does not speak with a double tongue, that person is a true practitioner. These 4 things are the 4 precepts of speech karma. Violating any of these 4 easily gives rise to suffering. A liar loses trust. A person with a double tongue causes division. A person who speaks harshly creates resentment. A person who fabricates stories makes their mind superficial. Every word uttered carries the energy of karma. It can be good or it can be bad, depending on what intention we put into it. Some people ask, "Why do I speak good words, but others still don't listen?" The Buddha taught that if the words are good, but the mind is not yet pure, the tone is still not clear. It's like a string instrument not tuned correctly. The sound produced will be harsh. When the mind is at peace, words naturally carry the energy of serenity. That is why a true practitioner, even if they speak little, their words always make others feel comfortable. Cultivating speech is also cultivating mindfulness. Every time you are about to say something, pause for a second and ask yourself, is this word true? Is it kind? Is it necessary to say it right now? If all 3 answers are yes, then speak. But if any of the 3 is no, then remain silent. Because silence at the right time is also wisdom. Silence is not fear, but knowing how to control oneself to preserve blessings. The longer one cultivates, the less one speaks, not because they don't know what to say, but because they deeply understand the value of words. A Zen master once said, "Before speaking, the word is our master. After speaking, we are its slave. When we haven't spoken, we are in control of our words. But once words have left our mouth, we must take responsibility for them." Therefore, cultivating at the mouth means cultivating in each breath, each small reaction of the mind. You don't need to be a monastic to guard your speech. Lay people can still cultivate through kind words, a gentle voice, and silence at the right moment. Once, someone asked the abbot, "Teacher, how can I keep my mouth gentle when others keep saying wrong and harsh things to me?" The teacher smiled gently. When they speak wrongly, that is their karma. If you reply with harsh words, you take on their karma as your own. Instead, recite the Buddha's name in your mind to keep your mouth silent and your heart clear. Cultivating at the mouth is not just refraining from speaking ill, but also knowing how to speak kind words, words of comfort, words of encouragement. A word of encouragement can help someone rise after falling. A word of forgiveness can resolve resentment. An apology can save an entire relationship. Every kind word is a seed of blessing sown in our heart. When the conditions are ripe, that seed will sprout into peace and joy. Conversely, harsh words are seeds of suffering. Many people complain that they cultivate endlessly but find no peace. Yet they don't realize that every day they still sow words of anger, judgment, criticism, and blame. Those words are like small thorns gradually embedding themselves in the mind. And then, one day, when that mind is full of wounds, how can it find peace? Therefore, a person who knows how to cultivate their speech not only keeps others at peace, but also keeps their own mind from further harm. The simplest practice is to spend a few minutes each morning sitting still, closing your eyes, and breathing deeply. When breathing in, think, I am renewing my body and mind. When breathing out, think, I vow to keep my mouth gentle today. Then slowly recite, Namo Than Tin Kaon Gip Botat. Just 5 minutes each morning like this, and you will find that throughout the day, your speech slows down, becomes softer, and you are less swept away by others' emotions. A person with good speech karma, even if they don't speak much, still makes others feel affectionate towards them. A person who cannot guard their mouth, no matter how talented, easily loses blessings. There's a folk saying, misfortune comes from the mouth, illness enters through the mouth. Thoughtless words are like a fire that burns away the blessings we have accumulated. Kind words are like refreshing nectar, soothing people's hearts and making blessings grow even greater. Once, a lay practitioner asked the Buddha how to know if his words were creating karma. The Buddha replied, if speaking makes your heart agitated and the listener sad, that is karma. If speaking makes your heart peaceful and the listener happy, that is a blessing. Just speak with a compassionate heart, and words will naturally become kind. When we deeply understand this, we realize that cultivation is not a grand occasion, but every small word, every small action in daily life. Cultivating at the mouth means that whenever we want to say something unpleasant, we know how to stop. Whenever we see others making mistakes, we choose to speak with compassion, not anger. Whenever we see injustice, we know how to speak up at the right time, in the right way. Not speaking is also cultivation, and speaking correctly is also cultivation. To guard one's speech, karma, is to guard one's peace. When there are no more gossipy words, our mind is silent, like still water, reflecting the true moonlight of life. At that moment, we feel the joy of living in mindfulness. Mrs. Lan, after many years of practice, is now not only a vegetable vendor, but also an example in the market. Anyone with a sad story comes to talk to her. They listen to her advice. She doesn't say much, just a few gentle words. But everyone who hears her feels much lighter. People say to each other, "Mrs. Lan didn't go to school much, but every word she says sounds like it comes from the Buddha in her heart." In fact, that is the result of years of cultivating her speech. Life is inherently short. People come and go, joy and sorrow are fleeting. If we keep letting our mouths utter karmic words, it's like harming ourselves. To guard the mouth, to guard words, is to guard blessings. The great mind is the root, but cultivating the mouth is the flower. Only when the flower blossoms do people recognize the fragrance of a peaceful mind. Finally, please remember a simple yet profound teaching of the Buddha. Words cost no money to buy. Choose your words to please each other. Choosing words is not about being cunningly artificial, but about knowing how to speak with a compassionate heart, knowing when to pause before words hurt anyone. Because cultivation is not far away. It lies right on the tip of our tongue. If every morning you recite a mantra to keep your speech pure, if every evening you reflect on whether you said anything that made someone sad today, if every time you want to blame someone, you remember to stop and breathe, then gradually you will notice a difference in your mind. Gentle words lead to a gentle person, and a gentle person gives rise to blessings. To keep a gentle mouth means to have kept half a life of peace, because words are the fragrance of the mind. When the mind is at peace, words are like blossoming flowers. When the mind is agitated, words are like sharp knives. Choosing to speak with flowers rather than knives is choosing the path of peace. And then every word we utter will become a small bell ringing in life, awakening those who are tired and have not yet realized that cultivation is not far away. Cultivation is about guarding our heart and guarding our words. In this life, no one avoids confronting arguments, misunderstandings, or conflicts. Sometimes, just one unintentional word can turn people against each other. Affection can crack, and peace of mind can turn into a stormy sea. Yet, sometimes, thanks to a gentle word, light as a breeze, someone's inner anger can be soothed, hatred resolved, and peace returns like clear water after the rain. Therefore, the Buddha once taught that words are seeds of karma. From the mouth, blessings are created, and from the mouth, misfortune is created. Just one kind word, one gentle sound, can be like a lotus blooming in the mud, spreading its sweet fragrance in a polluted world. As we live in this ever-changing world, hearing countless words of gossip, blame, and envy every day, we easily forget that our own words are also a source of energy. Words can uplift, heal, or, conversely, deeply hurt someone. The human mind is like a body of water. When someone throws a rough stone into it, the water ripples, and so does the human heart. A heavy word can make their mind turbulent for many days. But if we know how to sow a gentle word, that word is like a lotus petal, gently floating on the water's surface, causing no ripples, but leaving only a pure fragrance. To speak like that is wisdom, is compassion ripened in the heart. The Buddha taught that among the three karmas, body, speech, and mind, speech karma is the hardest to cultivate, because words are uttered more easily than actions, and once spoken, they cannot be taken back. Many people have good hearts and kind intentions, but lose blessings because they don't know how to guard their words. Some people regret for a lifetime just because one wrong word hurt someone. Yet others know how to use words at the right time, in the right place, with the right intention, to resolve karmic obstacles and maintain peace for themselves and others. Amidst the pressures of life, people often speak quickly, react hastily, rarely pausing to examine whether the words they are about to say are beneficial or not. We easily utter harsh words when angry, bitter words when hurt, without realizing that those very words are sowing bad seeds into our lives. Some say, "I'm just being honest." But honesty, without wisdom and compassion, is like a sharp knife that wounds wherever it touches. The Buddha did not teach us to lie, but taught that we must speak truthfully while still containing love, speak directly while still maintaining a compassionate heart. Kind words are not flattery, but words that come from a peaceful mind, a mind that knows how to love. Fang's story is a small testament, yet it clearly reflects the power of a kind word. Fang worked as a laborer in a mechanic's workshop. Though his life was difficult, he was kind, spoke little, and everyone in the workshop liked him. One morning, before the machines even started, two colleagues began arguing loudly. The cause was just a small disagreement over work assignments, but the back and forth made the atmosphere tense. Many people stood by watching. Some joined in, some laughed. Some tried to intervene, but no one could calm them down. Fong approached, not rushing to intervene, just stood for a moment, then smiled and said, "Both of you are skilled. Both work for the job. What is there to be angry about? People say that water that is too clear has no fish. Let's yield to each other a little to lighten our hearts." His short words were not raised, but at that, both men suddenly fell silent. The suffocatingly hot atmosphere was suddenly as if cooled. A moment later, they looked at each other, forced a smile, and shook hands. It seemed like a small matter, but without the right words, at that moment, the conflict could have dragged on, creating resentment within the team. A kind word is like a lotus blooming from the mud, but spreading its fragrance, making everyone feel comfortable. In Buddhism, practitioners not only cultivate the mind, but also cultivate speech, because the mouth is the door to karma. If the mind is the root, then words are the flower. If the root is good, the flower will be fragrant. But if the flower withers, people forget the root. Many people think that cultivating is sitting in meditation, chanting sutras, bowing to the Buddha, but forget that every word spoken daily is also meditation, is chanting sutras with the breath of one's heart. When we speak kind words, our mind is clear. When we speak harsh words, our mind is darkened. Every morning, if we start the new day with a wish for peace, with a gentle smile, then throughout that day, our mind will be light as the wind. Conversely, if we wake up and immediately utter complaints, grumbles, or anger, then throughout that day, we have sown suffering into ourselves. There was an old woman who sold vegetables named Mrs. Lang. Everyone in the market knew Mrs. Lang was hot-tempered and easily annoyed when customers haggled. But from the day she started going to the temple, she learned a short mantra taught by the abbot. Namo Than Tin Kau Ngyep Botat. Homage to the Bodhisattva of pure speech karma. Every morning, before going to the market, she would sit quietly, clasp her hands, and recite that mantra 3 times before starting her day. At first, she just thought it would bring peace to her mind, but it was miraculous. From that day on, she found herself speaking more gently, less prone to anger, and customers smiled at her more often. People said Mrs. Lang's voice now sounded as gentle as rainwater. Her sales didn't increase much, but she felt happy and light-hearted. She realized that just keeping a gentle mouth naturally brought blessings. People might not know she chanted, but they could feel the peaceful energy from her words. From then on, the small market where she sold became more joyful, with fewer quarrels. One person changed. Many people changed. A kind word spreads like ripples on water, reflecting back as peace for the entire community. Kind words are like lotus flowers growing in the mud. The lotus grows from muddy ground, but is not stained. The flower is still white, the fragrance still sweet. A person who knows how to keep their mouth gentle is like that. They live amidst a world full of gossip, but they do not let their mind be drawn into the current of anger. When others speak harshly, they do not respond harshly. When others cause trouble, they do not add fuel to the fire. When others blame them, they smile and let it go. That is the art of living for a wise person. The Buddha taught that when someone scolds you and you remain silent, you have extinguished their fire. No one can argue alone. So, if one side can keep a peaceful mind, the anger will have nowhere to cling. Harsh words are like fire. Kind words are like water. Fire meeting water naturally dies out. In life, we encounter many situations that make us easily lose our temper. Loved ones misunderstand. Colleagues speak ill of us. Children don't listen. Customers complain. At such times, if we are not mindful, angry words will easily slip out. But remember, once words have left the mouth, they no longer belong to us. They enter people's hearts and have an impact, sometimes even deeper than a knife's stab. Conversely, kind words, once spoken, do not disappear. They travel far, sowing seeds of goodness, and then return as blessings. Kind words make others feel warm-hearted and make us feel at peace. That is the merit of good speech karma. The Buddha once taught about 4 kinds of words to guard: speaking truthfully, speaking harmoniously, speaking kindly, speaking beneficially. Whenever you are about to say something, ask yourself, is this word true? Is it necessary right now? Will it bring peace to the listener? If all 3 are true, then speaking is good. If not, smile and remain silent. Silence is not weakness, but a manifestation of wisdom. Sometimes saying nothing is the most profound way to speak, just as a lotus does not need to be noisy to make others stop and admire it. Kind words are the same. They don't need to be loud, don't need logic, just need to come from a gentle heart, and they will naturally make the listener calm down. In life, there are words that we remember forever. Perhaps a word of encouragement when we are suffering, or a word of forgiveness when we make a mistake. These words not only soothe the mind in the moment, but also become a guiding light in the darkest nights of life. Each of us can be a sower of that light. When you see someone suffering, instead of judging, speak a word of compassion. When you see someone lost, instead of blaming, offer a word of advice. When you see someone make a mistake, instead of scolding, speak a word of guidance towards goodness. One kind word can change another person's entire way of life. Some people had decided to give up, but just hearing, "Keep going, I believe in you," they continued on. That is the invisible power of kind words, the power of love. If someone asks how to practice kind speech, the answer lies in the breath. Every time we are about to speak, breathe in slowly. Feel the breath pass. Then breathe out gently. In that moment, our mind has had time to return to itself. The words we are about to speak will be less heated, less hasty. You can also practice this every morning. Before talking to anyone, clasp your hands and silently vow. May the words I speak today bring peace to everyone. When words are accompanied by vows, the positive energy released is also wholesome. That is cultivation in daily life. Another practice is to write down 3 kind words you've said each day, no matter how small. Perhaps, "Thank you," "I'm sorry," or "I wish you peace." When we are aware that we are speaking kind words, the mind will naturally turn towards goodness. Each word is like a lotus flower. A few flowers bloom each day, and gradually our mind transforms into a lotus pond, spreading fragrance. And when the mind is full of flowers, life naturally becomes less painful. A person who knows how to speak kind words is a person who knows how to sow good seeds. In the law of karma, words are also karma. When we speak words that make others happy, we create good karma. When we speak words that hurt others, we create negative karma. The fruit of good words is trust, love, and blessings. The fruit of bad words is isolation, resentment, and loss of blessings. Therefore, choosing what to say is choosing how to live our karma. A true practitioner, before opening their mouth, has already cultivated within their mind. Their mind does not want to hurt anyone, so their words are naturally gentle. Their mind is full of gratitude, so their words are naturally warm. Their mind contains compassion, so their words are naturally beautiful. Just like the fragrance of flowers, it doesn't need to show off its beauty, yet butterflies and bees still seek it. When we can maintain kind words, we will find our mind more peaceful. Because harsh words, once spoken, will cause us regret, while kind words, once spoken, bring us joy. Someone asked, "I'm too gentle. What if others take advantage of me? Remember, gentleness is not weakness, but knowing when to stand firm. A gentle person does not contend, but also does not allow their mind to be polluted. They choose to keep their heart clear, like a lotus in the mud. A wicked person is like thick, heavy, unpleasant mud. A good person is like a lotus, delicate and resilient, rising to find the light. Amidst the mud, the flower still blooms. That is a symbol for practitioners in life. Ultimately, the most important thing is to understand that kind words not only help others, but also help ourselves. When we speak gently, we are also hearing ourselves become gentle. When we speak words of love, we are also nurturing the seeds of love in our heart. When we speak words of forgiveness, we are also freeing ourselves from resentment. Every gentle sentence is a step on the path of practice. Every time we guard our mouth is a time we overcome ourselves. May everyone who hears this be able to pause for a moment, listen to their breath, and listen to the words they speak daily. Ask, are my words hurting anyone? Are they bringing peace to anyone? If you feel the need to change, change. If you feel the need to speak, speak with a compassionate heart. If you feel the need to be silent with wisdom. Sometimes it's not about speaking a lot to help people, but just one right word, one kind word, is enough to make someone's heart blossom. When life is too full of mud, choose to be a lotus. When the world is full of harsh words, choose to speak kind words. Not to be praised as gentle, but to keep your heart pure. Because only when the mind is clear and the mouth is gentle can we find true happiness. The happiness that comes from profound peace that nothing can disturb. Remember, one word at the right time can resolve resentment. One word misplaced can cause endless breakdown. So from now on, when you say something, let that word be like a gentle lotus, fragrant and shining in a life full of muddy struggles. Cultivating the mind is not enough. One needs to cultivate the mouth. And when the mouth is kind, the mind will naturally become pure. When the mind is pure, the environment is pure. And when the environment is pure, life is peaceful. That is the path of those who know how to guard their kind words. The path of the lotus in the mud, of peace amidst suffering, of wisdom amidst countless worldly words in this bustling life. Sometimes the most precious thing is not eloquent words, but a moment of silence amidst countless disturbing sounds. There are times when people suffer not because of what others say, but because their own hearts refuse to be still. The more we try to justify ourselves, the more we speak to prove ourselves right, the more we lose our inner peace. Perhaps that is why the Buddha once taught, silence is an answer, sometimes even more powerful than 1,000 explanations. Silence, if it's merely holding back, is not enough to be called cultivation. But if it is silence in mindfulness, meaning being aware that you are silent, listening to your breath, the gentle rustle of leaves, the whisper of your own heart, then that is a profound practice. A person who can be silent with a clear and peaceful heart is truly practicing in life. Sometimes we don't realize that every word we utter is a seed. Some seeds create flowers. Some seeds sprout suffering. A malicious word, a voice in anger, can hurt others, and we ourselves will be haunted by regret. Conversely, a kind word, or just a simple smile, can resolve resentment. But in moments when the mind is not clear enough and wisdom is not bright enough, perhaps silence is the wisest choice. The responsive Buddhist Dharma channel has met many people carrying inner wounds, not from being scolded, but because they said things they shouldn't have. Some regret for a lifetime because of a moment of anger, a thoughtless word. Speaking is meant to release, but sometimes words themselves fan the flames. When the mind is restless, the mouth easily creates karma. When the mind is calm, words will be light as the wind. Therefore, learning to be silent is also learning to stop before karma begins. Silence is not avoidance, not that we dare not confront. Silence is looking deeply within to see the waves rising in our own mind. When angry, if we speak, we will create more waves. When sad, if we speak, we might sow more worries. But if we are silent, we can hear the voice of our own heart, the sigh, the longing for empathy, the prayer for peace for ourselves. At that moment, we are meditating in life, even if not sitting under the Bodhi tree. There's a small story I always remember whenever I talk about the power of silence. Sister Tin Nguyen was a nun who practiced in a small temple on a hill. Life there was peaceful, with only the sound of the bell, the wooden fish, and leaves falling in the wind. One day, Sister decided to practice 3 days of mindful silence. Throughout those 3 days, she didn't utter a single word. Even when people asked questions, she just smiled and clasped her hands. Outsiders might have seen her as cold, but in reality, inside her was a bright, silent expanse. During those 3 days, she still worked, sweeping the yard, cooking rice, watering plants, but every movement was slow and mindful. When she heard birds singing, she paused and smiled. When the wind blew, she felt the cool breeze touch her cheek. When it rained, she heard the sound of raindrops falling, as if hearing time passing with each breath. After 3 days, someone asked her, "What did you learn from those 3 days of silence?" Sister gently replied, "I heard the sound of falling leaves, and I heard my own heart." That statement was simple, but brought tears to many eyes. Because in the sound of falling leaves, she heard the entire universe breathing. And in the stillness of her heart, she found herself. For so many years, we live only listening to others speak, listening to the world's clamor, listening to praise and blame, but rarely listening to the voice of our own heart. Therefore, the noisier life gets, the more we need moments of stillness to turn inward. Silence is not to disconnect from the world, but to understand life more deeply. When we are silent, we hear others more clearly. When we are still, we feel the pain others are enduring. A person who knows how to be silent is a compassionate person, because they don't use words to attack, don't use logic to win or lose, but use a quiet heart to empathize. The Buddha once taught, "Between two people arguing, if one can maintain silence, that person has won." Winning here doesn't mean winning against others, but winning against oneself. Winning against the ego that wants to argue, winning against the habit of wanting to win or lose, winning against the anger that wants to erupt. That victory is the foundation of virtue, because only when we are silent do we clearly see everything unfolding in its own interconnectedness. Someone asked me, if everyone were silent, wouldn't life be meaningless? I just smiled and replied that silence is not about not speaking, but about speaking when necessary, with clarity. A person who knows how to be silent will know when to speak at the right time. A person who talks a lot easily says the wrong thing. A person who speaks little makes it easier for others to understand. It's like a lake. Only when the water is still can we see the sky reflected. Only when the mind is still can we see ourselves reflected. If the water is turbulent, the image is distorted. If the mind is restless, words easily become sharp knives. Silence is to let the mind return to a pristine state. Then, from that state, words emerge gently, lovingly, harming no one. Silence is also an opportunity to hear the Buddha's voice in our hearts. Because the Buddha's teachings do not resonate from the mouth, but from the heart. When the mind is clear, that voice is clear. When the mind is disturbed, that voice is blurry. A person who knows how to be silent is a person who is listening to the Dharma in their own breath. Each breath out is like releasing a grudge. Each breath in is like receiving peaceful energy. You can practice mindful silence right today. No need to leave your family or work. Just choose a short period of 5 minutes each day. Sit still with a straight back. Close your eyes. Feel your breath entering and exiting through your nostrils. When a sound arises, don't judge. Just be aware that you are hearing. When a thought passes, don't cling. Just be aware that you are thinking. When your body moves, just be aware that you are moving. At first, you will find your mind like a rushing river, thoughts coming continuously, but don't try to push them away. Let them pass like clouds drifting across the sky. Clouds don't make the sky lose its blue. They only temporarily block the sunlight. When your mind is still enough, the inner sky will become clear again. That is when you truly hear yourself. The longer one cultivates, the less one speaks, not because they are cold, but because they know which words are worth speaking. They understand that every word uttered must carry the energy of understanding and love. Words are like flowers. If they don't beautify life, then let them remain in the heart. Just as lotus flowers grow in the mud, but don't smell of the mud. A person who knows mindful silence will live amidst life without their heart being stained by dust. Looking at life today, people talk too much and listen too little. We talk online. We talk in arguments. We talk to be acknowledged. But few people stop to listen. Listen to others. Listen to nature. Listen to the voice of their own heart. That is why the mind becomes increasingly restless. Because in noise, wisdom is difficult to arise. Only when silent does wisdom become clear. If we accidentally say something wrong, let's learn to be silent to atone. If we accidentally hurt someone, let's use quiet stillness to pray for their peace. Don't try to explain, because explanations sometimes are not enough to heal. It is the peaceful energy in silence that has strong transformative power. In the law of karma, words are karma, but silence is also karma. Good or bad karma depends on the intention. If silence is used to disdain others, that is bad karma. If silence is used to avoid gossip, to nurture understanding, that is good karma. A wise person is not someone who talks a lot, but someone who knows when to be silent and when to speak. you can try a small practice. Today, choose a morning hour when you say nothing. Just observe your breath. Listen to the sounds around you. Feel each step. When someone calls, just smile. After that hour, you will find your mind completely different, lighter, clearer, and more compassionate. Because silence is a way for us to return to the energy of the present moment. A Zen master once said, "When we are silent, the whole universe listens to us." Indeed, there is great power in silence. It doesn't need to be noisy to assert itself, but shines forth from its natural serenity. A person can walk through the marketplace of life with a heart as still as a lake. That person has found their way home. If everyone knew to be silent before speaking, knew to breathe before reacting, knew to smile before judging, this world would have much less suffering, because most suffering begins with words. When we maintain silence in mindfulness, we are preventing countless bad karmas from arising. When night falls, before sleeping, you can sit still for a moment, close your eyes, and listen to your breath. If there is still something in your heart that you cannot let go of, breathe out deeply and silently say, "I let it go." Then be silent. When you know to stop, your mind will naturally be at peace. Silence is not only a spiritual practice, but also a gift for yourself and for those around you. In silence, we do not hurt anyone, nor are we hurt by anyone. In silence, we listen to understand to love to let go. And when we learn to be truly silent, we truly embark on the path of a practitioner, even if not in a temple, even if still living in the world. When you hear these words, please try to be silent for a few seconds. Don't think anything. Just listen to your breath. Feel the tranquility spreading throughout your body and mind. That is when you are meditating, practicing in silence. And in that moment, you don't need to try to be anyone else, because you are complete in your own stillness. The Buddha once smiled when asked, "How did you teach so many people to attain enlightenment?" He replied, "I taught through silence, because in silence, truth reveals itself. No need to speak. The wise will understand. No need to explain. The compassionate will feel." So when life makes you tired, don't rush to complain. Be silent when others misunderstand you. Don't try to justify. Be silent when your mind is restless. Don't try to chase it away. Be silent. Be silent to listen, to understand, to love, to return. Because sometimes true silence is the most profound answer life needs. And when you know how to be silent, you have found peace. In this life, people can suffer from many things. Suffering from loss, suffering from poverty, suffering from unfulfilled emotions. But there is a very powerful, very real kind of suffering that few realize. Suffering because of one's own words. How many relationships have broken? How many misunderstandings have arisen? How many bad karmas have begun? Often, all of it comes from just one unintentional word. The Buddha taught that a harsh word sows bitter seeds. A compassionate word ties blessings. That seemingly simple statement is a profound warning about karma in every breath, every word people speak. In life, sometimes we speak just to vent our feelings, to relieve fatigue. But if those words carry seeds of anger, envy, or criticism, then whether unintentional or intentional, they still sow a bad seed into the karmic stream. That seed will eventually bear fruit. Perhaps not today, but certainly at some point, it will return, making us learn our own lesson. A true practitioner not only cultivates their body and mind, but also cultivates their mouth. Because the mouth is the door to karma, the starting point of both blessings and misfortune. Some people observe precepts against killing, stealing, or sexual misconduct, but get caught up in karma of speech, lying, speaking divisively, speaking harshly, speaking uselessly. These alone are enough to make the mind restless, diminish blessings, and make life around them chaotic. There's a story I once heard, and every time I recall it, I see it as a mirror reflecting myself. It's the story of Ms. Huang, a woman who worked in a small office. She wasn't bad or evil. She just had a small habit of liking to gossip about others. Every time a group of colleagues gathered, she was always the one who talked the most, telling stories about one person, revealing secrets about another, adding a little something to make it more interesting. At first, everyone listened and laughed it off, but gradually they started to keep their distance because everyone feared that one day they too would be the subject of her behind-the-back stories. Then, one day, something she never expected happened. Another person in the company unintentionally misunderstood her and then recounted that story to others, exactly as she had done, with fabricated words, distorted details, and mocking laughter. It all turned into a knife that pierced her own heart. When she heard untrue things about herself, she was heartbroken, angry, and felt it was unfair. But amidst her anger, she suddenly remembered all the times she had done something similar. Suddenly, she fell silent, as if hearing the Buddha's teachings in her heart. Those who sow harsh words will reap suffering. Those who sow kind words will enjoy peace. That day, she went home, sat before the Buddha altar, clasped her hands, and repented. From that day on, she began to learn how to be silent, how to speak only good things, or if she couldn't speak kind words, she preferred to say nothing at all. Miss Huang's story is not rare. In life, all of us may have unintentionally spoken wrongly, harshly, or said something unnecessary. But the important thing is not that we made a mistake, but whether we realize it and transform it. When we become aware that every word carries energy, we will see that speaking is also a way of practicing the Dharma. A compassionate word can soothe a wound in another's heart. A sincere word can save a crumbling relationship. A timely compliment can revive a despairing soul. Conversely, a thoughtless remark can cause someone to suffer for a lifetime. That is why the Buddha taught that before speaking, let words pass through 3 gates. Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? These 3 gates are 3 mirrors for reflecting the mind in Buddhism. Karma of speech is considered one of the heaviest karmas because it's easy to commit and hard to see. When we kill or steal, we know we are doing wrong. But when we speak words that hurt others, often we don't realize it because we think it's just words. It's that very just words attitude that has broken so many relationships, severed so many good connections. A word, if it comes from anger, is like an arrow shot. It cannot be retrieved. Even if remorse comes later, the wound in the other person's heart remains. Therefore, practitioners not only learn to do good deeds, but also learn to speak good words. Speaking good words doesn't mean speaking eloquently or pleasantly, but speaking with a kind heart. When there is compassion in our heart, our words naturally become gentle. When there is understanding in our mind, our words naturally become light. When we harbor ill intentions, even sweet words turn poisonous. Sometimes, just a glance, a way of speaking, can sow good or sow evil. The Buddha taught that all sentient beings are bound by words. We bind ourselves with praise and blame. We bind others with judgment. Therefore, liberation sometimes does not lie in going far away or practicing asceticism, but begins with keeping the mind calm and the mouth peaceful. In life, we can look around and see the karma of suffering clearly manifest. Those who often speak ill of others, no matter how intelligent, eventually lose the trust of everyone. Those who often scold, complain, will gradually find their minds full of anger, and illness will follow. Conversely, those who know how to speak kind words, speak little, and speak at the right time, are loved by everyone and encounter many favorable conditions. This is not superstition, but natural karma. When we sow positive energy through words, we make the atmosphere around us peaceful. When we sow negative energy, we turn our own lives into a field of resentment. The universe reflects the human mind. What you say, you live, and you receive. A teacher once said, "When we speak, let's speak as if scattering flowers. The flowers have fragrance, the listener is happy, and our heart also feels light. But if we speak as if throwing stones, even if the other person dodges, our hand still hurts." That statement made many people pause. Indeed, speaking is also a way of doing good. Not everyone has money to give charity, but everyone can use words to sow blessings. A word of comfort, a word of encouragement, a sincere apology. All are kind flowers blooming in people's hearts. Some people, with just one word, save another's life, like a mother telling her despairing child, "My dear, no matter what happens, I still love you." That seemingly small sentence can save a life, save a shattered heart. That is a blessing that comes from the mouth. But cultivating the mouth is not just about silence, but about knowing when to speak correctly. Some choose silence to avoid karma of speech, which is a first step. But a deeper practitioner is someone who knows how to use words to sow blessings. The Buddha taught speaking truthfully, speaking gently, speaking beneficially, speaking at the right time. These four are the foundation of right speech. When we practice speaking like this, life naturally changes. We have fewer conflicts, less hurt, and our hearts also become more peaceful. Because every time we speak correctly, speak kindly, our mind feels light. Every time we speak incorrectly, speak harshly, our mind feels heavy. Guarding our words is guarding our mind from becoming agitated. A person who knows how to cultivate their mouth is also a person who knows how to stop. Just in a moment of anger, just pausing a little, taking a deep breath, can prevent so much hurt. A word uttered in anger can sometimes ruin an entire life. But a word coming from compassion can resolve hatred. Someone asked me how to guard my mouth in anger. I simply said, "Remember that words uttered are karma. When the mind is like fire, and you add more wind, words only make the fire burn stronger. Let the mind cool before speaking. Let the breath guide your words. When the breath slows down, words also become gentle, and karma is stopped. If every morning we vow to speak kind words, and every evening we repent for words that were not kind, then in just a short time we will see our lives change. People around us will be more approachable, work will be more favorable, and we ourselves will feel more secure, because blessings are not far away. Blessings are right in our mouths. Misfortune is the same. A person who understands this, even if they don't practice in a temple, is still practicing in life. When hearing Mrs. Huang's story again, many people see themselves in it. Some have been hurt by slander and felt pain. Some have spoken wrongly and felt regret. But instead of blaming, we can choose a different path: to recognize and then let go. When you see others speaking ill, don't rush to judge. Pity them, because they are sowing seeds of suffering for themselves. When you realize you've slipped up with words, don't dwell on it too much. Know how to correct it. Because recognizing in order to correct is already the first step of cultivation. And when you speak, speak with a kind heart, because kind words are seeds of blessings blooming within. In the sutras, it is taught that words are like wind. A gentle wind carries fragrance. A poisonous wind carries smoke. Wind is invisible, but everyone can feel it. Words are the same. They have no form, but everyone can feel them. If we speak compassionate words, the listener's heart will feel cool. If we speak harsh words, the listener's heart will feel cold. To keep the mouth gentle is also to keep the winds of life fresh and clear. A wise person will no longer argue to win with words, but will choose soit when necessary, speak when required, and speak with a clear mind. In this world, everyone wants peace. But peace does not come from speaking a lot or a little, but from whether we speak mindfully. When words come from understanding, from love, they become medicine. When words arise from anger, from jealousy, they become a knife. Medicine heals. A knife hurts. Each of us is either holding a knife or holding medicine. That lies in our own choice in every word we speak daily. If one day you find yourself misunderstood by others, falsely accused, hurt by people's words, remember that this is also a lesson that life sends to help us understand karma more deeply. Perhaps somewhere in the past, we also sowed words that hurt someone. Now, misfortune bears fruit so that we learn to stop. When we accept repentance and transformation, old karma naturally dissolves, and new blessings begin to arise. But if we react with retaliation, karma connects karma. Pain piles on pain. Ultimately, cultivating the mouth is not just about guarding the mouth, but about guarding the mind. When the mind is at peace, words are naturally kind. When the mind is agitated, words are naturally chaotic. Therefore, a person who wants to keep their mind peaceful amidst upheavals, amidst suffering, should start with words. Start today. Speak what is necessary. Speak what is kind. Speak with a compassionate heart. When you see someone making a mistake, speak with understanding, not with judgment. When you see someone suffering, speak with compassion, not with pity. When you see someone better than you, speak with joy, not with jealousy. Every such word is like a lotus blossoming in the mind. The Buddha taught that the mouth is the door to karma. Words are the root of blessings and misfortune. A person who knows how to guard their mouth is a person who is preserving blessings. A person who knows how to speak kindly is a person who is creating peace. Some blessings do not come from money, but from a word that warms a person's heart. Some misfortunes do not come from afar, but from a word that hurts others. So, if you want your life to be light, speak lightly. If you want your life to be joyful, speak joyfully. If you want your mind to be at peace, speak peacefully. When we learn to be silent at the right time, to speak the right words, our hearts will be light as clouds, no longer regretting words spoken, no longer blaming for what was said. Only peace remains in each breath. And then we will understand that cultivation is not far away. It is right in every word, every moment. Cultivate to make your heart gentle, your mouth kind, your life bright. To the listener, I send a small message. If today you find life full of upheavals, many misunderstandings, many hurtful words, please do not rush to resent anyone. Look back at what you have said, what you have thought, and what you have sown. When you see the cause, you no longer blame the effect. When you know how to guard your words, you guard your mind. And when you guard your mind, peace will naturally come to you like cool water in the summer noon. Blessings or misfortunes all come from the mouth, but joy or suffering comes from the heart. Keep a kind heart and speak good words. That is the root of all happiness and the path that leads us to true tranquility. There are days when one's heart is so tired that one doesn't want to say another word. All sounds become noisy. Every word from others suddenly turns into a burden. In those moments, we realize that words can be medicine, or they can be a knife. Some words warm people's hearts, while other words make someone's heart bleed. Amidst the busyness of life, people often unintentionally hurt each other with their very words. But the Buddha taught that in every sound we utter, energy is hidden. Energy of good or evil, of love or anger. And if we know how to use words to sow goodness, then even the sounds we create can become a cool stream that soothes the suffering of the world. Once, a Zen master asked his disciple, "Do you know why practitioners often chant sutras and recite Buddha's name?" The disciple replied, "To pray for blessings, to pray for peace." The Zen master smiled, not just to pray, but to transform the energy in the mind. When the mouth utters kind words, the mind naturally becomes pure. When the ear hears pure sounds, the mind naturally finds peace. Indeed, the sound of words is not merely simple sound waves. It is the energy of the mind expressed externally. A gentle word spoken from a loving heart will bring relief to others, even if it's just a few simple words. But a harsh word, no matter how logical, still causes the listener pain. Therefore, a practitioner who wishes to maintain a peaceful mind must also learn how to speak kindly, how to speak gently, so that the listener's heart feels a cool breeze passing through. In Buddhism, the energy of sound is called sound merit. When we recite the Buddha's name, chant sutras, or speak kind words, each of those sounds carries bright energy, resonating throughout the body and mind. Modern scientists have also proven that words and sounds can affect the structure of water, and the human body is more than 70% water. When we speak kind words, the cells in our body also vibrate with that peaceful rhythm, healing both the listener and the speaker. Conversely, when we speak angry, venomous words, that negative energy makes the body tired, the mind generates suffering, and the atmosphere around us becomes heavy. That is karma, right in every sound. There's a touching story about the power of gentle words that I want to retell. In a rural area of the Mekong Delta, there lived Mrs. Tu, an elderly mother in a small house by the river. She had a daughter named Lan. Since childhood, Lan was gentle, smart, and loved by everyone. But after an emotional upheaval, she fell into severe depression. She withdrew, didn't speak or eat, and cried silently every night. Mrs. Tu loved her daughter, sought teachers and medicine, but her condition did not improve. The elderly mother prayed to Buddha day and night, hoping her daughter would soon find peace. One night, when her daughter was tossing and turning, unable to sleep, Mrs. Tu quietly sat by her bed, placed her hand on her daughter's head, and softly recited, "Namo Amitabha Buddha." Her voice was small, even, and slow, like a lullaby. She didn't hope for much, only that the sound of the chanting could soothe her daughter's heart. That night, her daughter still didn't sleep, but strangely, her heart felt less heavy. Every night thereafter, Mrs. Tu continued to sit like that, saying nothing else, just reciting the Buddha's name softly like her breath. A month passed, and Lan began to sit up, began to eat, and then slowly smiled. She told her mother, "Whenever I hear your Buddha recitation, I feel so peaceful, as if someone is soothing my heart." Mrs. Tu shed tears, not from joy, but from seeing how miraculous the Dharma truly was. It turned out that gentle words, words of chanting, were not just sounds, but the energy of true love. That love came from a kind heart, so it had the power to transform suffering. Mrs. Tu's story is simple, yet profound. It makes us understand that you don't need to be a teacher, a monk, or a long-time practitioner. If you simply speak from a kind heart, those words are already Dharma. When our mouth utters kind words, our mind is sowing blessings. When we recite Buddha's name with sincerity, not only do we find peace, but the listener also finds peace. Because in every sound of chanting, there is the energy of awakening, of light, and of love. That is true healing energy that no medicine can compare to. The Buddha taught, "When the mind is pure, the land is pure. When the mouth is gentle, life is gentle. When our words are compassionate, listeners feel warm. When we speak with anger, even our dearest loved ones will feel distant." Sometimes, just a word of encouragement can save someone from despair. And sometimes, just one cold word can make someone lose faith in life. Therefore, guarding a gentle mouth is not only to accumulate blessings for oneself, but also to nurture peace for others. Every time you speak, ask yourself, will this word make others happy? Will it make them feel lighter? If so, speak. If not, it's better to be silent. Silence in compassion is still a gentle word. Someone asked, "If I don't know how to speak eloquent words or recite Buddha's name like Mrs. Tu, how can I speak healing words?" The answer lies within our own heart. When there is love in our heart, even simple words become sacred speech. When we speak with the intention to help others, those words naturally carry healing power. To speak to heal is not about speaking skillfully, but about speaking with love. Sometimes, just saying, "I understand," "I'm here," "I hear you," is enough to make someone in pain feel comforted. Because in those words, there is true presence, true listening, and the warmth of a human heart. In life, we meet many people who cause us suffering with their words, but if we look deeply, we will see that they are also suffering. A person who speaks harsh words is actually a person in pain. They carry wounds in their heart, so they speak with the energy of hurt. When we understand that, we will no longer be angry with them. We will know how to be silent, how to breathe, and how to send them a kind wish. Because only kind words can break the chain of negative energy that is spreading. That is cultivation through speech, transforming karma with positive energy. When we speak, we are sowing. What we sow, we reap. Sow kind words. Receive peace. Sow harsh words. Receive suffering. Mrs. Tu's story is a testament to that. Her chanting sound was not just words, but a flowing stream of loving energy. It entered her daughter's heart like a cool breeze passing through dry land, making new life sprout. When Mrs. Tu chanted, she did not seek or demand anything. It was that purity that made the energy of her chanting so powerful. Just as when we pray for someone with an unconditional heart, that energy will reach them, even across vast distances. Some people in life have their fate changed by just one kind word. A friend tells us in despair, "Just live. As long as there's breath, there's hope." That seemingly ordinary sentence can save us from the abyss, because within it is faith, is light. Words are like seeds sown in anyone's heart. They will sprout if nourished with love. Similarly, when we recite Buddha's name, each sound of recitation is a seed of peace sown in the realm of the mind. Each Namo Amitabha Buddha is like a cool breeze blowing across a dry field, making the flowers of the heart bloom again. If you want to know how words have energy, observe your own reactions. When someone scolds you, you feel your heart heat up, your breath heavy, your face red. When someone speaks gently, you feel light. You breathe easily. That is energy. And if you hear the sound of Buddha recitation, the sound of a temple bell, your heart suddenly settles. Your mind naturally finds peace. Our vibrations. To speak to heal is to speak to create that gentle vibration. And to do that, one must first have a gentle heart. To have kind words, one must have a kind heart. To have healing words, one must speak from mindfulness. This means that before speaking, we return to our breath. Recognize our emotions. If angry, be silent. If loving, speak. That is how words are not contaminated by suffering. A gentle word can contain an entire sky of peace if our mind is clear enough. When speaking with gratitude, words become blessings. When speaking with anger, words become karma. And when speaking with understanding, words become healing medicine. Every day, we have the opportunity to speak healing words. When you see someone sad, you can say, "Everything will pass." When you see someone make a mistake, you can say, "It's okay. Everyone has been there." When you see someone suffering, you can say, "I wish you peace." Just like that. But those words can save a soul. And every time we speak like that, we are also healing ourselves. Because when we sow positive energy outwards, the universe will reflect it back, and our heart will also find peace. In the quiet moments of the night, when everything has settled, try to sit still. Close your eyes, breathe gently, and silently recite Namo Amitabha Buddha. Feel each sound vibrating in your chest. That is the energy of peace. When your mind is still restless, let the sound of recitation become a wind, blowing away those worries. Imagine yourself speaking gentle words, loving words, compassionate words to everyone. At that moment, every cell in your body will be cleansed. Every thread of worry will gradually dissolve. That is the practice of healing with words. The ancients had a saying, "Words cost no money to buy. Choose your words to please each other." But gentle words are not just to please others, but to keep one's own heart gentle. When we speak softly, our heart is light. When we speak kindly, our mind is kind. When we speak with love, we are living with the Buddha within ourselves. That is the path of practice, neither fine nor difficult. We just need to be willing to reflect. Amidst a world full of noise, be someone who speaks little but profoundly, speaks gently but peacefully, speaks kindly but clearly, so that every word we utter is like a cool breeze passing through people's hearts. When we recall the image of Mrs. Tu sitting and reciting Buddha's name by her daughter's bed, we clearly see that love doesn't need eloquent words. It just needs sincerity and the sound of mindfulness. All suffering can be soothed. She didn't pray to deities to save her daughter, didn't beg for miracles. She just sowed positive energy into the space with sincere chanting. It was that very love that unlocked her daughter's closed heart. That is the miracle of compassion. If any of us are living amidst hurtful words, amidst sounds that weigh down our hearts, let's try to change. Let's start by speaking one kind word every day. Say thank you to those who help us. Say sorry when we make a mistake. Say, I care when someone is suffering. Each word is a small flower blooming in the garden of the mind. Then one day, that garden will blossom fully, and we will find ourselves living amidst the fragrance of peace. Then we will understand that maintaining a peaceful mind is not about avoiding life, but about knowing how to speak, how to listen, how to use words to soothe people's hearts. The Buddha taught that a gentle word is like the fragrance of a flower, cooling both heaven and earth. That word is not just a doctrine, but a truth of life. Let our words become a cool breeze in a life full of scorching sun. Speak, as Mrs. Tu chanted for her daughter, not seeking fame, not seeking blessings, just seeking peace for people's hearts. And every time you open your mouth to speak, remember that in every breath, every sound, you are sowing a seed. Good seeds will blossom into peace. Bad seeds will bear the fruit of suffering. What do we choose to say? That is how we choose to live. From today, as you embark on a new day, take a deep breath and tell yourself, today, I will speak kind words, words that soothe people's hearts. Even just one sentence is enough to make the world around us a little gentler. And when we sow such words every day, peace no longer needs to be sought, for it is already in our breath, in our voice, in every smile of our own. Perhaps in life, all of us have experienced moments of anger so intense that words burst out like knives. Afterward, when we calm down, we regret it. We realize that just 1 minute of delusion caused pain to another's heart. Some wounds from cuts will heal, but some wounds caused by words, even as years pass, still fester. Therefore, the Buddha once taught that a harsh word can burn away the merit accumulated over an entire lifetime. The more one cultivates, the fewer words one speaks, not because they don't know what to say, but because they understand words are a double-edged sword. To utter a sentence is to sow a seed. Kind words sow blessings. Harsh words create karma. Therefore, the wise choose silence to keep their mind peaceful. Practitioners choose kind words to sow good connections. One morning, I walked through a small alley and saw two neighbors arguing. It was nothing major, just one slipped word that escalated into a conflict. One person spoke, the other retorted, their voices getting louder and louder. In their eyes, I saw anger, swelling ego, and also invisible hurt. I suddenly thought, if at that moment one of them had just remained silent, just taken a deep breath and said a gentle word, what is there to be angry about? Then surely there would be no more suffering. But it's difficult, because when anger and delusion arise, people often forget the peace within themselves. The Buddha once said, "To conquer 1,000,000 armies is not equal to conquering oneself. And among these, conquering one's own words is one of the greatest victories. Because to guard words in a moment of anger, one must conquer the mind of anger. The mind that wants to win or lose. The mind that wants to prove itself right. The more spiritually mature a person is, the gentler their words, because their heart has learned to let go." Someone asked, "Teacher, I know that talking a lot creates karma, but if I'm silent, others will take advantage of me. What should I do?" The Buddha taught that silence is not weakness. Silence is the strength of a person who knows enough, knows appropriate behavior, and knows how to guard themselves. When we are silent in mindfulness, our mind is like the surface of a lake, without ripples, reflecting the entire clear sky. But when we argue to win or lose, even if we win, our heart is not at peace because we have allowed anger and delusion to conquer us. Mr. Truong's story is a gentle yet profound illustration. He was a long-time motorbike taxi driver in Saigon. One sunny afternoon, a customer in a hurry got on his bike with an irritable expression. Throughout the ride, the customer grumbled and cursed, blaming the driver for going slow and even complaining about traffic jams. Mr. Truong just smiled and said, "You must be very tired today." The words were light as a breeze. The customer paused, then fell silent. When they arrived, he turned to apologize, saying, "I'm too hot-tempered. Thank you, sir." The next day, the customer came back to find him, not to ride the bike, but to invite him for coffee. They sat and talked, and from then on, they became friends. Mr. Truong recounted, "In the past, I was as fiery as fire. If someone said one harsh word, I'd say 10 back. But then I saw my life was full of sadness. One day, I listened to a sermon by Venerable Thich Minh Niem. He said, 'To let go of one word is to let go of one karmic knot.' I tried being silent once when someone cursed me. The result was that my heart felt lighter, and the other person's anger also lessened. From then on, I learned to smile, to not speak hurtful words. Gradually, I found myself less miserable. Hearing his story, I remembered the Buddha's words in the Dhammapada. One who conquers others with words is a loser in the heart. One who conquers others with silence is a victor in the mind. Indeed, only when the heart is at peace are words peaceful. When the mind is agitated, any words spoken easily become a knife. We live in a world where words are a bridge connecting human hearts. But that bridge can also become an abyss if not used skillfully. A kind word is like a flower bringing fragrance to people's hearts. A harsh word is like a knife severing countless good connections. In the sutras, there is a saying, "Words are like a bee. It has honey, but also a sting. Honey is sweet, but a sting hurts." Therefore, a practitioner must know when to speak, when to be silent, and when to let go. Letting go in speech does not mean absolute silence, but letting go of the notion of wanting to prove oneself right. Letting go of the need to react. Letting go of the habit of using words to retaliate or belittle others. Once our heart is light, words naturally become light. Once our mind is at peace, the mouth will be gentle. Some people suffer their whole lives because of their mouths. Just one thoughtless word has made them lose friends, jobs, even family relationships. But there are also people who, thanks to a kind word, save a life. I once heard a story in central Vietnam about a man who intended to jump off a bridge due to debt. Just then, a little schoolgirl passing by saw him and stopped, saying, "Uncle, please don't jump. My mom says there's nothing in this world that cannot be overcome." That simple sentence was enough to make the man cry. He got off the bridge, found a temple, and from then on started his life anew. One word saved a life. That is immeasurable merit. The Buddha taught that among the three karmas, body, speech, and mind, speech karma is the hardest to guard because the mouth is close to the mind. Whatever the mind thinks, the mouth easily says. Therefore, to cultivate speech, one must cultivate the mind. When the mind is clear, words are naturally clear. When the mind is agitated, words will certainly be chaotic. Many people try to guard their mouths, but do not cultivate their minds. So as soon as anyone touches their sensitivities, they explode. Therefore, words reflect our level of mindfulness. The ancients said, "Deep water flows slowly. A clear-minded person speaks little. The deeper the water, the stiller it is. the more one cultivates, the fewer words one speaks, because they understand the energy of each spoken word. Every word uttered is energy, a vibrating wave spreading throughout space. If we speak kind words, that energy radiates peace. If we speak harsh words, that energy causes turmoil, hurting both the listener's mind and our own. In Buddhism, there is the concept of right speech. Right speech is speaking at the right time, in the right place, with the right intention. A word of right speech is like a flower blooming in another's heart. Wrong speech, lying, fabricating, speaking harshly, speaking divisively, are seeds of suffering. A true practitioner not only guards their mouth from speaking evil, but also knows how to use words to create blessings, to encourage, to comfort. If you ever pay attention, you will notice that when we speak kind words, our body feels light, our mind feels warm. But when we speak harsh words, even if we feel satisfied after saying them, our heart feels heavy, because negative energy returns to us. It's like throwing a handful of mud. Our hand also gets dirty. But the fruit doesn't wait for the next life. It comes right in the moment our mind changes. In modern life, people talk too much. Social media makes words easy to utter, sometimes too easy, to the point where we forget their value. We write, we comment, we criticize, without thinking that every sentence sows a seed. Someone who writes harsh words, causing harm to others, though it seems only online, in reality, that energy of anger still permeates their own life, making them restless, sleepless, tired. Therefore, to find peace, learn to speak less, speak more profoundly, speak with a kind heart. There is a small exercise in Zen teachings. Before saying anything, ask yourself 3 times, is this true? Is it necessary to say? Will it bring peace to the listener? If it passes these 3 questions, then it's okay to speak. But if one of the 3 answers is no, it's best to be silent. Silence is also a way of speaking, but it's speaking with the energy of abiding in peace. One afternoon, I went to a temple and saw an old monk meditating by a lotus pond. A lay practitioner asked, "Teacher, why do you speak so little?" The monk smiled. "Because I see that when people's minds are not at peace, speaking easily becomes a storm. When the mind is at peace, there's no need to speak. Others will still feel the peace." That statement stayed with me. It turns out that some silences are the voice of wisdom. Letting go in speech means letting go of the habit of wanting to control others with words. We no longer want to win or lose in every word. no longer need others to understand or agree with us. At that point, words become light as the wind, and silence becomes the sound of peace. You can practice this right now. Sit still, close your eyes, breathe deeply, exhale slowly, aware of your breath entering and exiting through your nose, listening to the sounds around you. If there's an urge to say something, just smile and let that thought drift away like a cloud. In that moment, you are practicing letting go in speech. You are not suppressing yourself, but simply not letting thoughts drag you along. One day, if you can maintain mindful silence even once when someone hurts you, you will see a miracle. The anger will pass more quickly, the mind will not be agitated, and the other person will no longer want to contend. That is the energy of compassion. That energy spreads like a cool breeze, soothing the entire world. In the Anguttara Nikaya, the Buddha taught that a person who speaks gently, even when cursed, does not generate anger. That person is like a lotus not defiled by water. The lotus grows from mud, but does not smell of its stench. Practitioners in life are the same. Amidst all the noise, they maintain a heart as still as water. When you learn to let go in speech, you are also learning to let go in mind, because the mouth is the gateway of the mind. When the mind is at peace, words are naturally peaceful. When the mind is light, the mouth is naturally gentle. Gradually, you will find that arguments no longer matter. Reactions are no longer important, and your heart becomes broader, more tolerant. Someone asked, "Teacher, is silence weakness?" No. Silence is the strength of a person who chooses peace instead of winning or losing. A weak person is silent out of fear, while a wise person is silent out of understanding. Silence is not to avoid, but to protect the energy of peace within oneself. Once you have learned to let go in speech, you will find that life also lets go more gently. No longer needing anyone's praise, no longer fearing anyone's criticism, no longer wanting to speak to prove anything. At that moment, the mind is peaceful, the mouth is gentle, and life becomes serene. The Buddha taught, "Speak words that are truthful, words that are harmonious, words that are beneficial, words that are timely." That person speaks words in accordance with the Dharma. Practice speaking words in accordance with the Dharma every day. Words that carry light, carry love, carry mindfulness. And if you cannot yet speak kind words, then choose silence. Silence is also a form of wisdom. When we know how to let go in speech, we are cleansing a large part of our karma. Because karma of speech is the cause of countless sufferings. Letting go of the mouth, we let go of suffering. Guarding the mouth, we guard blessings. A gentle word can change a person's heart, can resolve hatred, can sow good connections. Finally, remember, when the heart is light, words are also light. When the mind is peaceful, the mouth is also gentle. Make it a habit every morning before saying anything. Take a deep breath, smile, and remember this phrase. To conquer words is to conquer all karma. If today you can let go of an angry word, hold back a reactive comment, maintain a smile instead of arguing, then you have sown a seed of peace in your own heart and in the hearts of others. Letting go in speech is also letting go in mind. And it is in that letting go that you will find the peace that people seek all their lives. There is a great saying that a word spoken is like an arrow released from the bowstring. It can never be retrieved. Throughout a lifetime, how many times have we unintentionally hurt someone with our words, or weighed down our own hearts just by a sigh, a complaint? Then, reflecting in stillness, we realize that peace is not found in some distant place, but right in the moment we know to keep our heart still, our words pure, and our mind clear. Because when the mouth is pure, the mind is pure. When the mind is pure, the body is at peace. When the body is at peace, life naturally becomes yeet and easy. Life is never short of upheavals. There are days when just one wrong word can hurt a loved one, and then we ourselves are haunted by regret. There are times when just one timely word of comfort can help someone rise amidst suffering. From this, we see that the mouth is the door to karma, the birthplace of blessings, and also the source of misfortune. To speak is to sow, and whatever is sown is what is reaped. A person who practices in their speech is practicing in their mind, because words are merely sound, but that sound carries intention. If our mind is kind, our words are naturally wholesome. If our mind is angry, our words immediately become sharp as a knife. Therefore, cultivating the mouth is the first step of cultivating the mind, and cultivating the mind is the foundation for cultivating life. The Buddha taught, "When the mind is pure, the Buddha land is pure." That seemingly simple statement contains a profound philosophy. When our heart is at peace, the external world also becomes gentle. Conversely, if the mind is full of suffering, then no matter how beautiful the scenery, we still feel heavy and restless. A person who often speaks harsh words is actually poisoning their own heart. Because every time we utter hurtful words, that energy of anger not only reaches others, but also bounces back into us, making our inner self gradually turbid. Conversely, a person who knows how to speak kind words, good words, is a person who is washing their own mind with the light of compassion. A gentle word is like a lotus flower blooming in the mud, purifying the entire space around it. I once met an elderly woman. Everyone who met her said that just hearing her speak a few sentences made their heart feel much lighter. She wasn't highly educated, nor did she preach the Dharma. She simply had gone through much suffering and thus understood the value of words. She said, "In the past, I often spoke harshly to my husband and children. The more I spoke, the more discordant our home became. One day, I heard a monk preach that to have a peaceful family, one must first cultivate their mouth. I started practicing speaking more slowly, and whenever I got angry, I would remain silent. It was hard at first, but gradually, everything changed. I no longer felt the need to win against anyone with words. Just conquering my own anger was the greatest victory in life." Her story serves as a mirror for many. We often think that just speaking correctly is enough. But sometimes, being correct is not as important as speaking in the right way. Some people speak correctly, but hurt others. Some people speak incorrectly, but make others open their hearts. It all lies in the intention behind the words. A word uttered from a loving heart is medicine. A word uttered from anger is a knife. The Buddha taught that words are seeds sown in the hearts of others. Sowing good seeds will produce kind flowers. Sowing bad seeds will only reap suffering. Cultivating the mouth is learning to stop before words are spoken. It is knowing to ask oneself, do these words truly need to be said? Are they beneficial to anyone? Will they hurt anyone? If the answer is no, then silence is compassion. The ancients said, "Misfortune comes from the mouth. Blessings also come from the mouth." The mouth is small, but it can create great karma. To cultivate at the mouth is to guard the root of blessings, because when our words are gentle and kind, the hearts of those around us naturally settle down. We sow peace, and we will reap peace. In life, there are people who seem to do nothing great, yet they always maintain gentle words, speak harmoniously, and are loved and respected wherever they go. They are not worldly shrewd, but spiritually wise. They understand that this world is already too noisy, too full of arguments. So if we can make a place less heavy with kind words, we are doing something great without needing to boast. When our words make others feel valued and listened to, then we ourselves are also being nurtured by that compassionate energy. The Buddha taught that cultivation is not just chanting sutras, sitting in meditation, but also living mindfully in every word, action, and thought. When we speak a kind word to someone, we are sowing blessings. When we know how to be silent before attacks, we are sowing wisdom. When we use words to reconcile, to encourage, we are sowing compassion. These three seeds, blessings, wisdom, compassion, are the foundation of a serene life. Someone asked, "How can one's mind be pure in a world full of gossip like today's?" The Buddha taught to start with the mouth. Speak less of what is unnecessary. Discuss others' affairs less. Argue less to win or lose. Because the more one speaks, the more agitated the mind. The less one speaks, the deeper the mind. When speaking, let the heart settle. When finished speaking, smile. That smile is the sign of one who knows how to cultivate, who knows how to live in harmony with the Dharma. Cultivating the mouth is not forcing oneself into silence, but training oneself to speak correctly, kindly, and gently. Cultivating the mind is not avoiding all suffering, but learning not to let suffering make one lose one's compassion. Cultivating life is not escaping life, but knowing how to live in the world without being swept away by it. When these three things combine, pure mouth, pure mind, peaceful life, that person has built a pure land for themselves amidst the human world. If you observe, you will see that the longer people cultivate, the less they speak. Not because they have nothing to say, but because they understand that words are energy. They choose to use that energy to abide in mindfulness, to transform within, rather than to squander it outwardly. A moment of silence in mindfulness can sometimes be more powerful than 1,000 words of advice, because silence is not weakness, but a profound understanding that not everything requires words to be resolved. Some sufferings just need a compassionate gaze, an empathetic nod to be healed. If today you feel restless or find life's many challenges exhausting, try practicing cultivating the mouth for one day. From morning till night, speak only what is truly necessary, truly kind. Don't discuss others' affairs. Don't judge. Don't complain. You will find your mind suddenly lighter, not because the outside world has changed, but because you within have found peace. The mouth is the gateway to the mind. When that gate closes to unwholesome things, the mind has a place to settle and brighten. Try taking a deep breath, then exhaling slowly. In that moment, listen to the voice of your heart. Ask yourself, am I speaking words that nurture peace, Or am I sowing suffering with ignorant words? Just realizing that means you have begun to cultivate. Every day, just taking one small step on that path, you are moving closer to true peace. Before speaking, let the heart settle. When speaking, let the mind be pure. After speaking, smile. These are the 3 steps of one who knows how to cultivate the mouth, cultivate the mind, and cultivate life. Because in that settling, there is wisdom. In that purity, there is compassion. And in that smile, there are blessings. Finally, I pray that every listener here, wherever they are, whatever they are going through, maintains a space of peace in their heart. Let your words become a source of light, so that when others approach, they feel warmth and upliftment. May you know how to guard your kind words, live serenely, and sow blessings with every sound you utter. For every sound is a seed sown into the world, and you yourself will be the one to reap that good fruit in every peaceful breath, in every tranquil sleep, in every bright morning of your life.